by introducing you to Jay Heap, who will do the first part of the presentation. Jay Heap currently serves as the Associate Director of Operations for the Georgia Virtual School. He has 8 years of online experience, including teaching, content development, and administration. He was instrumental in creating the Georgia Credit Recovery Program, a free program available to all Georgia public school students. Serving as the manager of curriculum development for 2 years, he implemented a process for in-house course revision and creation that is currently being used in Georgia and implemented in 3 other states' virtual schools. Jay holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Education and a Master's degree in Adult Learning and Distance Education, and is also a Certified Project Manager. So let me turn the tables and the desktop over to Jay for his presentation. Jay, it's all yours, I believe. Jay, I can't hear you.
Okay, my name is Jay
Now
Heap.
I can.
Perfect. And I am with the Georgia Virtual School. And the Georgia Virtual School is a program of the Georgia Department of Education. We've been a supplemental state virtual school since 2005. That means that we provide courses for public, private, and homeschool students in our state, but we do not grant credit. The credit is granted from the school that sends their students to us. Most of our students are part-time students with us, and we are the 4th largest state virtual school in the United States, and that information is from the newest report of Keeping Pace that was just provided last in November, and we have enrollments over 20,000 students this year. And like Steve said, we also offer a credit recovery program that's a free program to all 912 public school students in the state who have previously been unsuccessful in a course. And we also offer AP test prep for our students along with the courses. Currently, we offer about 130 courses in our course catalog. Most of them are available fall, spring, and summer semesters. Another part of the area in which we are associated with at the Department of Education is the statewide learning longitudinal data system. And although that's not directly part of Georgia Virtual School, we have a big hand in that, and a lot of our course development is used in that. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned what the LDS was. In Georgia, all public school teachers have desktop availability to student data. So they can log in through their student information system and get aggregated data about all of their students. And that information can be test scores, attendance records, along with just course schedules that they have. So within this system, we have another program called the Teacher Resource Link. And inside of that, teachers can go directly to their course that they're teaching, look at the state standards associated with that course, and then by just clicking a button, finding resources that are linked directly to that standard. The learning objects that that teachers are seeing are created from Georgia Virtual School, and they're included in the Teacher Resource Link. And we do that both as separate learning objects, and we also deliver entire SoftChalk packages to teachers right on their desktop through this process. So that's very useful to us and to the students and teachers throughout the state. I guess part of the reason why we're here is to talk about some of the challenges of the virtual school. Because we have such a large and diverse population, We not only serve students within our state, but we also have students outside of the state of Georgia who are interested in taking courses that we offer that may not be offered in their school district or even in their state. And we also have a large number of Georgia students who are not currently living in the state. They could be military deployed with their families or traveling for other reasons. So one of the challenges we have is we have to have quite an expansive student information system that not only takes care of our registration, but also takes care of our ability to get students into class and gather information. So that's one of the challenges that we have. Teacher training to meet our growth. We started in 2005, and our enrollments were 1,500. And over the course of the last 7 years, we have grown to 20,000. It's challenging because we don't know exactly how many students are coming in each class each year. So having a good teacher training model is very helpful to us. We operate in a combination of tuition and line item funding for our program. So it's important that we have a sustainable funding model. So we're constantly working to make sure that we are providing a good product that schools want to continue to enroll students in order to maintain that level of funding that we need to be successful. And then the fourth challenge we have is where do we get our content, how do we create our content, and that's kind of a little bit of the focus of what we're talking about here today. So the Georgia Virtual School content creation process started back in 2007. We had to make a decision whether we wanted to create or purchase our course material. And at that point, we decided that in the long term that we would create the material. So in 2008, we purchased SoftChalk and began to create our courses ourselves. As of 2012, all the courses that we create do have a Creative Commons license on them, and those are available to everyone as we can get them up onto our website. One benefit that we wanted to make sure we had, because we were dealing with a lot of school districts throughout the state, just like in our teacher resource link, we wanted to make sure that our material was learning management system agnostic, so that no matter what system you were using, we would be able to provide that material for teachers and students. We wanted to make sure that we had easy navigation and consistent formatting. With 130 classes, it's very important that students are comfortable if they're taking one or more classes. So we have a development team of development specialists who work to create the courses, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And all of our resources are also available well, not all of them, but a lot of our resources are available to everyone on the web at our Georgia Virtual Learning site, and I will provide that link here at the end of the presentation. So we do have a pretty extensive development process. We have 6 development specialists who are curriculum specialists who really understand technology, and they're paired with subject matter experts for each course that we develop. Like I said, all of our courses in grades 6 through 12 have been created in SoftChalk since 2008. And our new courses are also ReadSpeaker enabled, which is a function through SoftChalk that allows the text to be read to students as they are looking at it. We have a 1-year development cycle for our Carnegie Unit courses, which usually starts in August of each year. That makes them completed in the fall and ready for offering. And each of our development specialists works with 5 to 6 courses a year. So generally, we're handling about 30 courses being created or revised each year. Now, we'll have more information on our development process and how we use SoftChalk in the course creation process during our longer webinar in February. So
Okay,
this
well,
is me and my contact information.
Okay, and you will all be getting a follow-up email with all this information in it, so you do not have to write this down. You will get this in a follow-up email. You should be getting it tomorrow or perhaps the day after. So let me take the screen back and actually, before I start introducing Deanna, let me launch one last poll, because we are talking about virtual schools. It would be nice to find out from you, our audience, exactly what your involvement is with virtual schools. So if you could give me a sense for where you are, if you teach for a virtual school, if you're a designer and you create content, if you're involved in managing or planning, or you have other virtual school involvement. It's a multiple answer response so that you can choose more than one of these. I think some of you may choose many of them, but half of you have responded, so I'd like you to get a little bit more responses. And while you're doing that, let me introduce Deanna. Deanna Mayers has worked in K-12 education for 21 years as a teacher, instructional coach, technology integrator, director of technology, and the last 5 years with BlendedSchools.net as the director of curriculum. As director of curriculum at BlendedSchools.net, Deanna oversees the management and training of practicing teachers to create over 190 online courses, while also providing curriculum-related professional development to the member district. Under Deanna's direction, 4 BlendedSchools.net courses have been honored with International Exemplary Course Awards. Congratulations, Deanna and Blended Schools. Let me close the poll and share it for a moment, and you can get a sense for where our audience is from. So, most of you have some involvement in one way or the other, but it's interesting that more than half of you teach at a virtual school. Very interesting. Okay, Deanna, let me turn this over to you for your presentation.
Okay, Steve. I see that you've switched the screen over to me. I want to make sure that you're hearing me. Make sure you're hearing me okay.
Just fine, thank you. And I see your screen.
Excellent. So good afternoon, everyone. Blended Schools is a little different than the typical virtual school because we're not really a school. We work with many schools so that they can set up their own virtual school. So we provide technology, professional development, and curriculum to help support school districts to open smaller virtual environments. So again, as I talked about, we are a not-for-profit organization, and we've been around for about 10 years now. We got our roots in Pennsylvania, but we have expanded outside of the Pennsylvania region lately, and we're growing at quite a good clip outside of the state. We are not a publicly funded, we are, like I said, a not-for-profit organization. So our expenses are being covered by the membership fees that our districts pay into the consortium in order to get curriculum, technology, professional development, and it's in a shared type resource. So again, what do we provide? We provide the Blackboard system for all of our member districts, and it's not just just Blackboard. We provide other technologies on top of that, so you have this virtual learning environment that you must have when you're trying to put together an online program. Another thing that you need to have when you set up your virtual program is curriculum. And we do provide about 190 courses, kindergarten through 12th grade. Those would include the kindergarten courses and first grade are more of a thematic type courses. All the core areas on the grades 2 through 12, with many electives including health and PE, and we also have many advanced placement courses. I'll talk a little bit in the future here, if we have time, about how we do our curriculum development also. But I talked about Blackboard. We also have technologies on top of Blackboard like Respondus's technologies for StudyMate, and of course SoftChalk, which we couldn't live without. We have our own branded cloud system through SoftChalk that we provide as a technology for our districts, and we'll talk more about that in the future too. So you need curriculum, and you also need your classroom or your virtual environment for an online program, but you also need instruction. That is the one thing that Blended Schools does not provide. But what we do provide is training for your teachers or the teachers within our member districts to become competent and build their capacity to be an online teacher also. We really truly believe that districts should be teaching their own students, and in this model it helps them build that capacity so that their teachers can teach their students, whether they be face-to-face in a blended model or completely online. And the one place we do provide instructors is for our Language Institute. Our Language Institute is an environment where we will deliver critical languages such as Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and I'm forgetting one, Russian. We also provide some other ESL and Spanish and German as needed by districts, but we focus on those areas in our Language Institute where it's difficult to find instructors. So that's kind of the only exception to our rule where districts teach their own students. How do our districts use our resources with BSN? They use them in many different ways. Obviously, there are people that create just a simple virtual school that students take all of their courses through that virtual environment, kind of like we're mostly talking about today. But I also wanted to mention that many of our districts use them as in a blended or as a they'll take 2 or 3 courses face-to-face in the home high school or junior high or elementary, and they might take a few of their courses online. They also we have many virtual summer school programs that happen, deliver homebound instruction to students. You can see there's a variety of ways. Generally, when someone becomes a member of Blended Schools, we sit down with them with our implementation coordinator and we talk about what are they struggling with and what do they want to do, and then we design a program or help them design their own program, moreover, that fits the needs of their students in their district. So since courses are at the heart of what I do and the thing that I'm most passionate about, and where SoftChalk is used the most, I thought I'd give you a little splash screen here about what does a BSN course look like, or what are the components of it. And you can see there the things in blue are the things that we've had in our courses for the last 2 to 3 years. The things in the orangish red color are the things that we have been able to add because of SoftChalk and our new BSN Cloud, which is our branded SoftChalk Cloud. What we've been able to do, what we would call a 3.0 course, allows our students and our teachers to get a more of a mastery learning format to our courses. So I'm just going to show you a quick couple of things here of the way ours look. There where you'll see the SCL, you'll see that this is our SoftChalk package. We refer to them as content packages, and I'll go into a little bit more here. Here's how one of ours looks, a simple navigation for it. We have a very consistent navigation on the way we use SoftChalk, and we use these learning packages you'll see there. We always have these practice activities that are built directly in SoftChalk, real simple to do with our practicing teachers. And remember, our model is that we hire teachers from our member districts. We train them in both the technologies and the instructional design components so that they can create these courses, and then they have that capacity to impact their school district and their colleagues when they go back and they're no longer with us as curriculum designers. So just some of the simple things that we do with the automatic score updates and their check for understandings. So just a real quick there through course development. We'll talk more about that at the larger webinar. We also provide professional development. We do it in 4 different ways, sometimes more than that because sometimes we blend these. On-site, obviously, teachers still like for trainers to come on-site and work with people. We do a lot of online, synchronous like this, or asynchronous, self-paced in our Blackboard system. And then we do some conferencing type things also, like our national conferences that we're involved with and our statewide conferences. We also provide the hosting and the technology support for Blackboard and any other technologies that we offer, including our BSN Cloud and some other technologies we have. This talks to you a little bit about the network of BSN, and I've referred to them a little bit already. I have the links down here to our SoftChalk Cloud that we do have some open source type objects that you can. All of our Unit 1 content, never fails, that phone rings, our open source content is there, all of our Unit 1s. And some other vocabulary and learning objects are also available. We also have another learning resource here, that the BSN Tube. Okay, I think it's done. Sorry about that. The BSN Tube, which the BSN Tube is, has about 4,000 or so lectures and growing that you can embed and use similar to YouTube. So I'm just going to kind of end it here, if that's okay. If we want to.
Yes, your time is about up anyway.
Okay.
But there'll be time for some conversations at the end. And let me remind folks that you will be getting these links in an email that you will get tomorrow, and with contact information for everybody, as well as links to their websites. So let me take the desktop back and introduce our last presenter. Pam Kyras is the newly appointed Coordinator of Educational Technology for the Orange Unified School District in Orange, California. She has 20 years experience in education, having taught at elementary, middle, and high school levels, which includes serving as a library media specialist for 10 years. She has served in leadership positions in technologies and libraries at the high school and district levels, and it is through these experiences that she's able to lead, model, and support teachers and administrators in technology-infused teaching and learning through online learning, online education. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pam, and you can finish off the third of the presenters, and we will follow up with some questions and conversations when you're done. We can see your screen. You're great.
Okay, you can see my screen. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can. You're all set.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be presenting this third piece of this webinar today, because our program called Orange Live is so different than the other 2 programs. We're basically based in a school district in Southern California and run our own online program, and started offering our first class. Our first online class was piloted in 2002. Through that pilot, which ran for actually 2 years with one U.S. government course, the program was started in 2004 and 2005 with 4 classes. And so what Orange Live looks like, let me just kind of give you some background information there, is we actually serve students at our 4 comprehensive high schools in our district. Our district has about 32,000 students in the 9th through 12th grades. We offer 16 online courses in this Orange Live program right now, which include courses in English language arts, mathematics, history, government, art history, some electives, Spanish, web design, marketing, and society. So we try and hit all of the core areas of the curriculum, with the exception of science, which are really hard to offer because of the lab-based requirements for those courses. Our curriculum is all created by our teachers under the guidance of the previous director of our educational technology and myself. So our teachers are teaching in the face-to-face classroom at least usually 3 to 4 sections of the course that they're also teaching online. And they create their own content based on the California standards. They use the same curriculum, the same textbooks that are being used in the face-to-face classes. As I said, the students in the Orange Live program, they must attend one of our 4 comprehensive high schools in our district. And they have to be enrolled in 240 minutes of traditional face-to-face classes. So what that would look like is a regular student would take at least 4 courses in a face-to-face format, and then they would have the option of taking 2 online courses, and this would be per semester. So a lot of times we have students that are taking a full load of courses, which would be 6 in our case, and then they're adding additional online courses, either 1 or 2, which allows them to explore other areas that they might not normally be able to do if they were just taking courses in the face-to-face format. So in addition to the requirement of being enrolled in one of our high schools, they must also have access to a computer and internet, whether that's at home, at the public library, or in their school library. We do have some students that don't have that access at home, so in order to provide equity for all of our students, we do allow them to use, wherever they can get their internet access. Again, the courses are based on a semester schedule. They follow the same scheduling that the rest of our district students do. There are no standard seat time hours for our courses. So the teachers provide the content in sort of these weekly, what we call learning units, and we too use the Blackboard content system. We host it ourselves. And so those learning units are placed within the Blackboard content system, and they use, the teachers use a variety of tools to make the course interactive. One of those being SoftChalk. We couldn't do this without SoftChalk and making those lessons really come alive, especially since the teachers are required to use the core curriculum and the core textbooks. It also, our courses will include like weekly virtual chats. We want our teachers to interact with our students, so they have prearranged what we call virtual chats or office hours, where they're either providing lecture content. If it's a foreign language class, like some of our Spanish classes, the kids are getting on, they're practicing speaking Spanish, and their teacher is talking back to them, and they're also not only interacting with the teacher, but also with other students. Again, trying to get the teachers to focus on the technology tools to create really rich in-depth assignments. So in addition to SoftChalk, we use several other plugins like Illuminate. We're using blogs. We're using podcasts. Our teachers are using a Respondus software for tests. They're using something called StudyMate. We use a built-in plagiarism detection software for our writing courses. They're creating wikis. So as interactive as we can get the courses to make this content kind of come alive for the students. Another requirement of our courses is that all tests are taken at their high school in a face-to-face environment. Now this doesn't include like maybe weekly quizzes or something, but major tests and semester finals, the students go into a testing lab at their school site that's proctored by one of our online teachers. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about how the program is funded and set up within our district. One of our major focuses, and I heard one of the other presenters say this, was making the program sustainable. So we wanted to make sure that in any kind of tough economic times that the program would continue. So what we did was we developed a mutual partnership with our 4 high schools. That each high school contributes what we call 4 sections. So a normal teacher, if you teach in a face-to-face environment, teaches 6, or actually they teach 5 sections, and they have 1 section that's a conference period. So each of the high schools then takes 4 sections, and they contribute that to the online program. And then in return, those 4 high schools can enroll students in any of those online courses. So it's like the high schools are sharing those sections among themselves. It's really worked well. The one thing that we do have to monitor with that is enrollment, because some of the courses can really fill up quickly, so we try and monitor that enrollment pretty closely. I had mentioned our teachers earlier, but one of the ways that we select our teachers is we first look for a quality classroom teacher, somebody that's good in the face-to-face classroom and understands the basics of good teaching and learning. And then again, having the teachers create their own content is really sort of key for us in personalizing their content themselves. In terms of staff development and professional development, when we get a teacher, and I have many teachers that have been teaching in this program since its inception in 2004 and 5, but we provide 20 hours of paid professional development during the summer, where they come in and we work on strategic areas, particularly those I saw that Deanna mentioned a lot. We have a lot of crossover there. And then we continue to meet on a monthly basis where the teachers are released for half a day to continue to support and improve their courses and instruction. I think this program really succeeds, and we do meet the needs. I think this year I was kind of estimating, I actually didn't pull the numbers, but we have over 600 students, secondary students, participating in our program. This program really does meet the diverse needs of our students, in that if there was a particular course that wasn't offered at one of the high schools, for example, I'll use advanced placement art history. It's offered. It hasn't been offered at some of our high schools, but a student can elect to take that online. So they're having access to those courses that they might not have otherwise. It allows flexibility. So again, those students that have a full schedule, or they're doing sports after school, or whatever, they can do their work in sort of this asynchronous environment. And it really promotes a personalized, we find, teacher-to-student relationship. Many of my teachers report that they know these students much better in this online classroom, where students feel free to contact and talk to the teacher, versus when you have 30 students sitting in front of you face-to-face. It really takes a special skill to develop those relationships, but it's one of the, I think, strong points to our program. And again, the student-to-student interaction, promoting that through the courses. We feel that this program that we offer really promotes sort of what our students are needing today. They've grown up using these technology tools. They're digital natives. They need these kind of relevant skills, and it really can provide success for that student that may not do well in the face-to-face environment. We, again, our course content is aligned to our state standards, and the courses are rigorous. So we prepare those students for the college level work and rigor. And then too, what the data shows, and we've looked at our data for our online students, and with our state standardized scores, these students do find success in these courses, and they do outperform other students in the typical face-to-face classroom. Of course, these students, as you know, in an online course, you have to be motivated and sort of a, not a procrastinator. So I think that's where I will end my presentation. I don't know how much time I have left, Steve, but if you want more information about Orange Live, I will.
At this point, your time is about up.
Okay.
But I think what you've given us is great, and I'm going to invite people to, or remind people that you've just sort of got a taste of what each of these virtual schools are like and how they're motivated, what their missions are. So I will give you the specific dates in a moment about when they're going to be doing their individual ones. And each of them will show you a great deal about the content, what the content is like, as well as an overview. So it's time for Q&A. Let me take the desktop back. and go from there. The one question, and I think, Pam, you just mentioned it, dealing with state standards. And this is to all three of you. How do you track or keep track of state standards in an online environment? Is there something special you do in the online world to show that which state standards or course standards are being met? Pam, you want to talk first, and then we'll go to Deanna and then to Jay.
Yeah, I can do that. So in our district, if you're in a face-to-face classroom, you're required to, in your lesson plan, have the state standard addressed. So what we do is when we're creating our content online, we have the teachers look at those state standards and post those in the learning unit, so that they know which one they're addressing. And again, because they're paced just like the traditional classroom, and we have not only the state standardized testing that we answer to, we also have district finals. These students take the same district final that all of the other high schools, so we have standardized district finals that they do in the face-to-face class. So the teacher has to make sure that the standards that are expected to be taught, say in the first semester of English 11, are being addressed. Otherwise, their students don't do well in the standardized test for the district level.
Deanna, you want to comment on standards
Sure.
and how that approach, especially in the diverse environment, you're supporting over 100 virtual schools?
Sure. You know, we obviously map to state standards, but we also map to the Common Core or more national standards outside of just the Common Core. The way we do it is we create master courses. Those master courses are then copied by individual teachers. Those master courses are aligned and analyzed to make sure that we don't have any gaps in the content itself. But then once a district or a teacher copies the course, then they have free reign to customize it, and then they'll do their updates to their mapping and their standards alignment there. Some people choose to use the standards alignment tool in Blackboard when they do major editing for us. Generally, they don't change the course too much off the master, so they use that master alignment course maps that we provide them. And then, you know, obviously, depending on who the client is, whether we're working with someone or a member is, if it's a Pennsylvania school, it's also mapped to PA. If it's a school in Texas, we work with them to get the Texas alignment in there. But hopefully that's, I mean, real quick, that's how we handle it. But there's a lot of instruction that happens through the course development process with our teachers for them to really understand and unpack the standards along the development process.
Okay, thank you. Jay, you're up.
Okay. Well, being a state program, we build all of our material to the Georgia State standards for the course, and some of those in the math and language arts do map to Common Core. We do the same thing that Orange Live does. Is in each learning module, the standards are listed so that if a student clearly understands the standards, and in our shared material, those standards also appear, so teachers using that material through the teacher resource link would know what material is linked to each standard.
Okay, well, pretty standard ways of doing that. SoftChalk has a module in which you could bring in state standards as well, so that's something that I don't think any of you are using, as I understand it, but it is a feature that is there. One more question. A couple of you talked about Creative Commons licensing and open source. I think that both Georgia Virtual and Blended Schools do something in the way of making their content available as an open educational resource using Creative Commons licensing. I don't think Orange Live does. Could each of you address how whether you're using Creative Commons licensing, whether or not you are making things available outside of your organization? Jay, let's start with you and go back.
Sure. Like I said, since 2012, all of our material has been created with a Creative Commons CC BY license. You can find the courses that we've been able to get ready at our georgiavirtuallearning.org under the resource link. And those courses are there in their course content in their entirety. The assessments are not provided, but the entire course content is provided, and the OER courses are clearly labeled for you to use.
Great, great. Deanna.
Sure. We basically use our BSN Cloud to share resources in an OER format. We only share all of our Unit 1s and then many of our various learning objects. So our Unit 1s would be all the lessons that are in a Unit 1 in every one of our 192 courses, along with our assessments and the SoftChalk packages that you could utilize. Both are embeddable and hyperlinked to, and LTI if you have LTI technologies. We also have the OER in our BSN tube, which has every lecture that's in every one of our courses that we've designed, and nearly every one of our courses has some sort of video type lecture or direct instruction lecture in each one of our lessons. So there's many videos there that are available again for hyperlink and embed code there. And both you can create free accounts on and rate and comment on our resources so that we can hopefully continue to make them better.
Oh, great. And last, Pam.
Okay. Yeah. Currently, we don't offer any shared resources from our courses. I know that our teachers do use some of the open source textbook material that is available through our state through a website called CLearn, but we currently don't offer any shared resources or use any of the Creative Commons resources.
Interesting. Okay, I thought that's the way that worked.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thank you. Thank you all. Let me sort of end today's session by saying a couple things about SoftChalk. The 25% of you, this is your first exposure to SoftChalk. So I just want to let you know that we offer a variety of opportunities to learn more about SoftChalk, and I encourage you to explore our website. And there's other things you can do. There's a 30-day free subscription to SoftChalk Cloud, and I really encourage you to log into softchalkcloud.com and just get your free 30-day trial right now. We've got webinars, including these Innovator sessions. We have introductory webinars for those of you who want to know more about actually creating content with SoftChalk. We offer those several times a month. We can schedule a private webinar for your institution if you are interested. We encourage you to look at our social media, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I understand there's a Twitter conversation going on as I speak. And one last comment is this month we've got a big deal sale. And if you've at any time thought about SoftChalk purchase and we're postponing it, now's the time to do something about it. But let me sort of end today's session with a reminder that there are 3 more webinars coming up. You've just got a small taste of what each of these schools are, mostly a conceptual look at what they do. You want details about what it's like for teachers who are actually creating the content, for instructional designers, for what the content actually looks like and the kind of learning management system they've used and what other kind of tools and resources. They will all be available in detail on these 3 dates. And they're all 4 o'clock Eastern Time. All the dates are on Wednesday, exactly when we had our session today. So let me leave you today with a great thanks to Deanna and Jay and Pam. Thank you for an excellent overview of your virtual schools and blended environments. It was really insightful, and I'm hoping that people found it that way as well. You will be sent an email with this information if you are interested. If you want to contact these folks, their information is there. A survey will immediately follow as you exit this webinar, and it'll ask you questions about the kind of things that you are interested in and whether you want more information about each of these schools. But you'll also be given contact information to get hold of them as well. If you want to know more about SoftChalk and are interested in what we do and how our software works, you can contact Learn More at softchalk.com, and we will get back to you. If you want to talk to me because something I said sort of intrigued you and you want to ask me more, please feel free to contact me, Steve at softchalk.com. And again, I'm Steve Salzberg. I'm the Communications Director with SoftChalk. One last great thanks to Pam and to Jay and to Deanna.